The greatest martial arts tournament in the multiverse has now begun to take shape as Goku looks to speak with the Omni King about the grand event, alongside recruiting the team he needs in order to ensure survival against the universe's best, and today marks the official beginning as we enter a new saga known as the Universe Survival Arc. What's going on, Dragon Ball Super fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 77 review entitled Let's Do It Omni King, the universe's greatest martial arts tournament, leading into Dragon Ball Super episode 78, in which will be the continuation of the beginning of the Universe Survival Arc, as we have major spoilers coming in, guys, especially having to set the entire tournament up with the Omni King having to be there, and of course Goku training alongside Whis. And a quick plug before we begin, in case you guys are not following me at Twitter, make sure to go on ahead and follow me at Twitter at UnrealEntGaming. The link will be down in the description below for all the latest in Dragon Ball news, information, and updates. And of course, if you guys want to keep notified of what's going on, make sure to follow me at Twitter. And of course, if you guys are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That way you guys yourselves are notified of whenever a Dragon Ball discussion, review, or gameplay video is posted on this channel. Your feedback and of course your support really means a lot to me, so be sure to go on ahead and spread the word about the channel, guys. It really means a lot to me. So the long-awaited Universal Tournament that we've all been waiting for has finally now come, and we have some really interesting things that went down, especially with the new introduction having to be shown, in which was very fantastic in my opinion. I haven't been this excited for an introduction since the Goku Black arc began, and of course we have a brand new theme, and of course the ending to Dragon Ball Super episode 77, which leads into the preview of Dragon Ball Super episode number 78, in which case I will discuss in my breakdown review, so make sure you guys go ahead and tune into that. But this episode was exactly how everyone actually thought it would be, and it kicks off right where we left off with the Omni King's finger being shown pointed down at a planet, and we see both of the Omni Kings destroying planets. Now if this wasn't scary enough, then I don't know what is, because we have two Zenos sitting at the throne with 4 bodyguards around them, and they're pretty much flickering universes, they're flicking around planets, and we see how they're both talking, and it's very ominous looking because we don't know their agenda, we don't know what they're planning, but of course we see how they're obliterating planets, and as scary as it is, we see how they begin to talk, and then we pan over to Goku as a farmer, and from what it looks like, he looks to be at some market. He's selling vegetables that he got from the fields, and now maybe Chi-Chi can be quiet for a while because obviously she wants Goku to work, and he seems to have like this little envelope in his pocket. And I do want to say before anything else, the introduction to Dragon Ball Super was absolutely amazing, and it primarily focused on one specific character, and I do think, and I will talk about this in my breakdown review, I do think that there's one character that was shown will be the primary enemy, or at least the primary opponent for Goku, because it was heavily shown Goku fighting this person over and over and over again, even as a Super Saiyan Blue. So I do think that at some point this person will be Goku's primary opponent rather than anyone else. So we go back to the episode and we see how Goku's basically getting robbed, and what's funny is like they begin to shoot Goku and they have machine guns, and Goku overcomes the bullets, and that's how fast Goku is. We see how he quickly begins to outpace the bullets. He even catches one of the bullets once the guy pulls out a handgun and he shoots Goku, and that's how fast Goku is. He catches all of the machine gun bullets in his hand and he begins to drop the bullets on down to the ground, and the other guy that was shooting at Goku was just shocked out of his mind as to how fast Goku was, as to what Goku was doing. Goku flicked him on the side of the temple as he flew into the mountain, and that was the end of that. So he says later on, geez, just don't do bad stuff, and then later on he pulls out the Omni button and he's staring at it. But even during that, he begins to talk to Beerus and Whis, and we see how Beerus is chilling, we see how Whis is chilling, and we see how later on Goku calls Whis for training, and Whis asks about food, and Goku says he'll bring it, of course. Even having a look at Beerus, we see how Beerus is nonchalant laying on the couch, and we see how Whis is talking to Goku. Goku quickly rushes home to put on his gi, and of course we see how he agrees to go ahead and train with Whis. Now this is where things get very interesting, because we see how much Goku has grown in terms of power. While he's home, he begins to talk to Goten, and Goten says, I want to get strong just like Dad, and Chi-Chi pretty much gives a standard Chi-Chi speech by saying that she doesn't want Goten to become like Goku, and we see how Goten can tell that Goku was off to train, and the little kid was surprised by this, and we see how Chi-Chi always wants to intervene, obviously showing the mom side of her. She doesn't want her son to become a monster like Goku through her eyes, and we see how they slowly begin to sneak off, and Chi-Chi raises hell in the house. But Goku and Goten don't really care, because that's the advantages they have of being Saiyans and being able to fly, because they just simply flew out of there. That was pretty cool, I would have to say. So the artwork in this episode, the animation in this episode reminded me of top-notch movie quality animation. And then later on we get to see how Goku and Goten, they go to Capsule Corp, and Bulma pulls up, right? And this is where things get very, very interesting. We see how, surprise, surprise, Bulma is pregnant and she'll be giving birth soon. And Goten asks if Trunks knows that he's gonna have a little brother or a little sister, and they're not checking ahead of time, of course. Now, the one thing that kind of irritated me was the fact that they didn't really go ahead and go into like any sort of like time skip here into like showing how far, you know, this has been, or at least when or how many months Bulma is pregnant, of course. But we see how Goku begins to laugh at Bulma because he sees the stomach, and we see how Goten's excited, but Goku doesn't seem to have a clue. Obviously enough, it reminds him of when he had kids, but still, at the end of the day, it's Goku we're talking about here, so he was dumbfounded either way. And then we pan on over back to when we see Trunks and Goten talking to each other, and Trunks wants to train with them, but he's bored of fighting Pilaf and Shu, and it's kind of messed up for Shu and Pilaf. But either way, we pan back over to Goku and Bulma talking, and we see how Bulma suggests that Goku takes Vegeta with them in order to train, and obviously Goku thinks it's a great idea, and he invites Vegeta to go train with him, but he refuses because he got Bulma to take care of, and that's the first time that I think Vegeta ever turned down training. I might be wrong, but this is the first time I've ever seen Vegeta say no to training, because Vegeta was always one to train no matter what, birthday parties, deaths, I mean, you name it, and Vegeta would train. But even prior, we get to see even how the boys are beginning to spar off, but Vegeta tells Goku, dummy, if I went training at this time, she'll hate me forever, I have to take care of her. So that's the first ever time that I've ever seen Vegeta legitimately care for Bulma in this way. So he's taking up the role of being a father, having that responsibility, and it's funny because the very second he sees Goku, he walks away. I mean, that's the kind of relationship they have. Vegeta then tells Goku, my child is going to be born soon, and then out of nowhere, Whis arrives, and he's thinking that Vegeta's pregnant, and Vegeta says, no, it's my wife, and Goku says, well then, I guess I'll get stronger than you, Vegeta, and that's when Vegeta says, if you can. So we see how they begin to bicker on power levels, which I find very fascinating either way, because Goku says, well, I'll become stronger than you, and Vegeta says, well, go on ahead and try. And right before, of course, we see Goku take off, we see Vegeta looking at him, so obviously we see there's tension there, and then we see how Goku arrives to Beerus' planet. He brings the food, and then we notice how later on Beerus tells Goku never to interact with the Omni King anymore. And even, of course, Whis agrees in saying that there's no telling as to what may happen, and Goku remembers that Zenchan is actually going to be hosting this tournament, and that's when Goku says, do you mean the Omni King? Anyway, he forgot about it, so he wants to go on ahead and remind the Omni King of this tournament, which is a very bad idea. But then we get to see Whis spar with Goku. Now, this is where people are going to be saying that Goku has finally caught up with at least the power that's necessary to compete against Whis, because we saw how he was able to deflect one of Whis' ki blasts, but again, we can't really say how strong that energy blast was, because you have to take into consideration how strong Whis is, so he has to be heavily suppressed. There's no way that Goku can be anywhere near Whis' level, in my opinion, or at least remotely close to even Beerus at this point, just because we saw Goku reflect off a ki blast. So we see how Beerus begins to tell Goku, you cannot interact with the Omni King anymore, and Goku seems to be throwing the button away, but then we actually see him actually pressing the button, and Goku actually uses the button to go ahead and get to the Omni King, and Goku says, one of you two promised to hold a tournament, right? As he gets to the Omni King's place. But even before that, we see how Goku gets in Beerus' face, which I found to be very, very interesting, because it's always Beerus that gets in Goku's face, but now he's telling him, do not interact with the Omni King, and Beerus pushes him, and he says, get rid of the button, and Goku lies and uses the button to get to Zenchan's place. So while he's there, he asks the Omni Kings, which one of you actually said that we're going to be hosting a tournament? So we see how both Omni Kings raise their hand, and they're saying me, and we see how one of the Omni Kings seems to be confused because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I think what highlighted the episode for me was when, even prior to Goku using the button, we see how Beerus was gonna Hakai Goku, and it's very awesome to see that, because Beerus was dead serious on destroying Goku if he did not obey. And to think that the God of Destruction was going to destroy you and level you right then and there, he had his face right in front of Beerus' hand, and we see how Goku threw the button in the air, he caught it, he pressed the button, and he left. And we see how Beerus had a temper tantrum. So we see how Goku gets to the Omni King's place, and we see how at first, we see the Grand Priest is there, he welcomes Goku, and even prior to that, we see how Goku begins to ask which one of you is holding the tournament, and then finally right then and there, the Omni King said, oh, I have forgotten. But now, of course, thanks thanks to Goku, this multiverse tournament's going to be happening. And then we see how the Omni Kings think a tournament will be fun, then their planet picking game, and then they decide to hold a tournament that Goku's thrilled about. But of course, we see how Goku later on says that he's really been looking forward to this, and the Grand Priest says that he'll contact the gods of destructions and the Kaioshin from the other universes, and Goku asks Whis to go on ahead and take them to Kaioshin's place, since Kaioshin will be getting, further details about this tournament. And we see how the Omni Kings completely disregard the table full of planets. They knock it down to the ground, and they seem to be agreeing / disagreeing with certain things, but they definitely want to hold a tournament here. So the Grand Priest reads a notice for the Tournament of Might with 10 contestants from each universe. So Goku later on gets back to Beerus's place, and then we see how Beerus kind of punches him in the ribs. Goku goes down, and they begin to discuss this tournament, and it's a very bad idea because the Omni King forgot about this tournament, and Goku reminded him. So now Goku has literally just put every universe in jeopardy as they later on get to Kaio-sama's place, and we see how Kaioshin's there, everyone's there, and the Grand Priest arrives. And I absolutely love the Grand Priest because he looks to be very ominous. He is the strongest of the strong, and we see how everyone begins to bow down to the Grand Priest the moment he gets to Kaioshin's world. The only person that wasn't actually bowing down was Goku and Whis. Those were the only two guys that were not bowing down. We see how Beerus bowed down, the Supreme Kai, Kibito, Elder Kai, but Goku and Whis were not. So by the end of this, guys, I'm going to have to say that this episode to me was spectacular. Comparing this to the beginning and the opening of the Goku Black story, we're going to have to wait and see what happens, because we see how Goku is literally, creating tension for, Beerus and Whis, because they never wanted Goku to interact with the Omni King, and Beerus was acting like such a liberal during this whole entire situation, because Beerus, being a destroyer, he wanted no involvement with Goku interacting with the Omni King, interacting with anyone else. And we see how the Daishinkan begins to make his announcements, and now we officially head into next week's episode, which will be the universe's gods are a geist. You'll be obliterated if you lose at the Tournament of Might, of course, and in which case we see the episode preview for next week, in which case I will discuss in my breakdown review. But overall, guys, this was a very solid episode, because we get to see how, even though early in the beginning it was kind of boring, we see how everyone begins to have tension towards Goku. Everyone's saying, do not speak to the Omni King. And the best part, I think, was when Beerus was gonna Hakai Goku, and Goku did not have any fear. He stood right in front of Beerus. He pressed the button and left. Of course, I'll talk more about the intro and the breakdown, because there's a lot to talk about, guys. The gods, the fighters. We see everyone is there. Universe 6 fighters, Universe 9 fighters, female Broly, this unknown robed figure that's going to be fighting Goku primarily, and of course, a possible new form that was shown, in which I am very excited about. So we have a lot to look forward to, and of course, judging based on the preview, we have a lot to see as well, because we get to see for the very first time how everyone is gathering up together, and there's like this giant, meeting between the gods and Zeno. So it's gonna get crazy. I'm telling you, it's gonna go from 0 to 100. But post your comments down below. What are your thoughts on the new introduction in Dragon Ball Super? What are your overall thoughts on the episode preview? What are your overall thoughts on the episode entirely? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys like it? What are your overall expectations towards each individual fighter being shown in Universe 7? Who do you think is going to stand out the most? And of course, what are your overall thoughts on Goku training with Whis, and Goku kind of being able to hang in there with Whis, at least momentarily? Post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all for watching so very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are ready for Dragon Ball Super episode 78, smash that like button down below. Don't forget to go ahead and punch that subscribe button, guys, for all latest in Dragon Ball news, information, updates, discussions, and what if battles. Tune in for more. I am excited to see what's going to happen in next week's episode. What did you guys think of this week's episode? Post your comments down below. Tune in for the breakdown, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys. Peace.